Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good morning or a good afternoon. I will quickly summarize what our group talked about. We had Dwight, Grace, Linford, and Samia representing from universities, including University of Cincinnati and Berkeley, U of I, and I forget the other ones, and I won't include mine. Nonetheless, for question one, we really wanted to look into in how students progress post 12th grade and I guess for us, we really gathered information from these earlier panels on where this data might be available. And previous to this workshop, some of us were not aware of the National Clearinghouse data, for instance. For question two, we wanted to highlight that sharing info uh, was really, really important. We don't necessarily have a solid collaborative effort identified because we just met for the first time today, but we really did do a good job collaborating and sharing various pre college engineering programs and the like that were effective at retaining retention and improving retention. And then for the last two, we wanted to set up discovery experiences to increase retention, as in small co-ops, maybe STEM club training, which was one that was touted pretty explicitly and had some good benefits around training not only students to create STEM clubs within their high schools or the like, but also training teachers on how to facilitate that. And lastly, what we would ask of the broader engineering community would be to potentially set up administrative blueprints for how these retention efforts for pre-college students could be executed. Of course, financially, that might happen differently across universities, but it would be nice to have a blueprint. And that is my time. I probably butchered some things, but that's my best shot.
Great, thank you so much. And if any of your group members have any comments, please feel free to put them in the chat. Tanya.
Hi, Beth. It's great to see you. Thanks for
Good to see
hosting
you
me.
too.
I was wondering, is there a way to access the whiteboard from our table?
Uh, that is a question for the, there you go, Kathy.
You would have had to take a screenshot so it won't show.
Okay, so now I'm shooting from the hip, but anybody who was on at the table, if you would want to add comments, please do into the chat. So we were talking about the data that was represented and some concerns about some populations being left off of the graph, maybe because of small numbers. In particular, I think it was Native Hawaiian, Alaska Native, and Indigenous communities, students. And so we were thinking about ways in which we could represent that data so that we are not erasing populations of students, even if the populations are small. Is it possible to give the number at the national level? We understand maybe at the school level that might not be appropriate since those students could be identified. But we want to be very careful about erasing populations of students. We also talked about I think the question I raised earlier about we're looking at a lot of quantitative data, but what about qualitative data and approaching things in a mixed methods approach? So we really understand student experiences more deeply and being careful not to put racial groups into one bucket because there's very nuanced experiences for all students. And this is a difficult problem. And I know it's a qualitative research data is hard, but if we really want to get to the crux of the matter and understand, we need to do that. And also using, resources and things that are not, that are already available. You talked about the program at Florida International University. You talked, people, there was a discussion on the Meyerhoff Scholars Program, which we picked up a lot of those components and done for a particular program here at CU. And then the program at California State University. Why can't we make all of these broadly available to every engineering college, give resources and support? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. I think the young man before me, Joe, talked about the blueprint. Like, can the National Academy help develop a blueprint and then give that to ABET, give it to the colleges around the country to really support what we want to see change? I was particularly disturbed by the for-profit universities. A lot of our Black students and other students of color are going to for-profit universities as opposed to public. So what is that about? Like, I think we need to go deeper into understanding that. And I'm really trying to remember the other pieces. Yeah, so people talked about high impact practices. We just need to be, just as we are with engineering research. I work at a Research One university, and we are laser focused. Like, there's so much that's happening. We don't have to start from scratch. I think that's what we want to be just really, really realistic about, is not starting over and quit being in silos. Like, refrain from that, and continue to have these kinds of conversations and share the information. So I don't know if that's my time, but I'm stopping right there.
Great. Thank you, Tanya. That's very good. Any of your group members want to drop something in chat? Feel free. Or if you have questions for either of our presenters, please feel free to drop those in too. And while we're waiting for those, I'll say that we will take a quick break. We will come back at 1:15 with a panel on what existing collaborations between MSIs and PWIs have been very successful and what made them successful. It's going to be a great panel. So please take a break now and come back in about 9 minutes.